So let's go ahead and build our first AI custom knowledge base chatbot. And we're going to do this tutorial in custom GPT just because for a lot of you, I'm sure you're beginners and you might not be very technical. So I want to use the easiest platform really just to get you guys to grasp this concept. And that's easily going to be custom GPT. So once you create an account and you sign up, you'll land here on create projects. As you guys can see, this is where we're going to be uploading the data and the custom knowledge that our chatbot is going to use to respond and answer questions. So as you can see right here, we've got a sitemap. So I mentioned this in the previous video, but basically a sitemap gives you the ability to take all the pages associated to a single domain and really scrub all the text and then feed it to the chatbot, which is very, very useful. The other thing you can do as well is drag and upload files, PDF, docs, zips, etc. It has to be under 100 megabytes. But besides that, you can upload data multiple ways to your chatbot using custom GPT. So let's go ahead and use bubble.io as an example. So let's just say bubble.io is a potential client. And what we want to do is we want to access their sitemap. So what we're going to do is just type in a backslash and then sitemap.xml. Go ahead and search that. And right here, you'll see the sitemap associated to bubble.io. So here are all the different pages that you can scrub. Now, the other thing we want to take into consideration too is bubble.io has their own documentation. So actually, I can go ahead. I'll just Google search this, but bubble documentation. And this is actually hosted through a subdomain. So this will be a different sitemap, but we'll do the same thing. Sitemap.xml. Boom. And this documentation really is what, shows how to use Bubble and the capabilities behind Bubble, but we'll do both. But the first thing we're going to add is going to be the documentation. So let's go ahead and add the sitemap there. And let's enter a project name, Bubble Expert Chatbot. We'll go ahead and create this project. So as you can see, I've got a demo project down there, but Bubble Expert Chatbot, right now it's going to be searching through all the different pages here. So as you can see, the crawl status, all of these are really queued. So it will take a little bit for it to actually, go through and scrub the copy associated to all of these. But what we can do too is let's go ahead and jump into settings here for our Bubble Chatbot Expert. We'll jump into data and let's add the actual sitemap of the main domain as well. Once this gives us the green light, we'll add that sitemap. Sitemap added successfully. So now we can manage the two different sitemaps that we have. We could also upload data as well, which we don't necessarily need to do. This is just a good example on let's just say Bubble was a client that we wanted to reach out to. They didn't already have a chatbot that, would help people really learn Bubble and would be able to answer questions that are specifically related to Bubble. We could actually take their public information here and create a basic working demo for them. As you guys can see, you can jump into chatbot here, adjust, the colors, the avatar photo, the default prompt. There's a lot that you guys can do here. So if we go ahead and jump into conversation settings here, we can see our response source is set on default, which is your content. So basically, this chatbot is only going to be using our content to, answer questions. But you can adjust this to be my content plus ChatGPT. So the first thing it'll do is it'll look in this database of knowledge. And if it can't find the answer, then it'll just give a standard ChatGPT response, which is pretty helpful as well. You can enable citations, where basically it'll show where it's fetching the information. So let's go ahead and say always show just for this example, as well as the sharing option. So you do have a few options here. You've got a sharing link, which you can enable. We can enable an embed, so you can actually embed this into your website. The live chat is probably what most people will use. It'll be that little icon there on the bottom right-hand corner that you click on if you want to open up a chat or you have some questions, automatically pop up the chat bubble if you'd like. And then we've got API. So this is going to be what we use to actually tie this custom knowledge based chatbot into make.com to actually, execute on these different automations. If you wanted to use this custom knowledge base in an automation and connect it to Make, this is how you do it. And they actually have a bunch of documentation here as well. So your API documentation for custom GPT, which really walks you through everything. So for the most part, you can create a new project. You could manage most of everything in here, but I'm sure most of you guys will be using the conversation. So you can create a new conversation with this chatbot through a third-party system or another application and actually connect to the backend of this chatbot, create a new conversation, update a conversation, retrieve the messages that have been sent. There is a lot you can do here, and they make it really, really easy as well. You can just input your project ID, name the conversation, and actually use this as kind of like a framework. They actually kind of preset this up. So if I inputted some numbers here, you'd be able to see these numbers added inside of the actual code itself. But for like make.com, you're not going to be actually inputting code, which I will kind of explain here when we jump into the make automation side of things. But it basically just gives you a good example. You can also build your own ChatGPT plugins just using this model as well. So there is a lot here. Let's go ahead back to my projects. We can go ahead and delete this project here. And we've got our Bubble Expert Chatbot. So 100 items, 114 items have been indexed so far, over 100,000 words. So basically, our model is still definitely learning. It may take a little bit more time, but for the most part, let's go ahead and just test this chatbot. It says it's ready. So let's go to Ask Me Anything, and we can set up a new conversation. So let's just ask it something like, what is Bubble? And it'll search its custom knowledge chatbot here. Bubble is both a visual programming tool and a cloud platform. Okay. It allows you to design, build, maintain, and scale your app using application editors. Cool. Where did this answer come from? The basics. You can actually see the different sources where it fetched this answer. So introduction, welcome to Bubble Docs. Okay. Now let's do something a little bit more sophisticated. If you're not familiar with Bubble, you may not understand what this is, but what are workflows in Bubble and how do they work? Let's just say you were new to Bubble and you were asking these questions like, what are workflows? How do I set up actual functionality in my application? Workflows in Bubble are a key part of the programming system. They define how the app behaves when a user interacts with it. A workflow is composed of an event, which triggers the workflow, and a series of actions that run in response to the event. So, for example, a workflow could be when the button sign up is clicked, sign the user up, send an email, and then change the page, right? So that's actually a pretty good job. Where did these answers come from? Workflows. Obviously, that's going to be in the documentation, the glossary. So it used 4 different sources to actually come up with this answer. But this is a perfect example of a active, custom knowledge-based chatbot. And if you guys haven't noticed already, it is damn easy to build this out. It's perfect. It would literally take you just a few minutes to build this out for a potential client or lead or someone that you're targeting, or build this out for, build 10 different bots for, 10 different companies that you want to target and use it as demos. If one says no, cycle them out with another company. And you have kind of a working, demo that you can actually showcase to these businesses so they have something to play around with. And it's not just an idea or a concept that you're trying to sell them on. So this is a very just simple example. We are going to jump into bot press here probably within the next couple of weeks, and really show you guys how to build out definitely a more complicated custom knowledge based chatbot with bot press, and then even using Stack AI and showing you guys the capabilities there, even when it comes to connecting it to the internet, using agents. There's so much that you guys can do with this. It really is just how creative can you get? Are you really good at analyzing a business and identifying key points in that business that you can optimize to help them make money, save them time, save them energy, the headache, right? Minimize all this back and forth communication just by using, AI. Can you improve their customer experience, their client experience? What can you do for them by using these AI tools, by using these automation tools to really just make their business better and easier? So the next thing that we're going to do after this is I'm going to show you guys exactly, how we connect this to make.com and, use this custom knowledge base within one of our automation tools. So we'll go ahead and jump into that next.